We don't need a preamble. We're just doing it. We're dads.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, baby.
Much
Yeah.
like
Wheels
fatherhood.
up, take off.
Yeah, there's no dress rehearsal. This is it.
Let's go. I mean, you can memorize all. You know this, like you can memorize as many lines as you want for the moment, and then you're just gonna throw it out the window anyway. So like,
Oh, yeah.
just roll with
Yeah,
it.
that's true. You know what, Neil? Usually Neil's just like, oh, here he goes talking food again. But Chet and I can exclude you on host notes. You know, I was shooting something yesterday, and we did it in one take, and the guy's like, that was good. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I can try and do it 3 times, and maybe I'll feel like one's better, but no one will know the damn difference.
Yeah. We just keep. My crew is like, the editing is where it all gets cleaned up. You just sort of like, I'm just gonna keep talking about this burger until you cut me off, and then you pick what you want in the edit.
Do you
Yeah.
feel, when you started Daytripper, like, how many kids did you have then? By the way, I think you are setting the record on World's Greatest Dad because you do have 5 children, correct?
Yeah. I don't know if that's a record I want. Ollie.
You know what? We have to go get somebody. We have to go get one of the TLC personalities with 18
Yeah,
kids.
sure.
We're gonna have to
Some of
go
the,
to
like, one of those,
Utah.
Yeah,
those Pioneer Farms people, that lives out on some chicken ranch somewhere.
that's right.
I mean, and the-
Yeah, 5 kids. I did it to myself, or I should say, my wife and I did it to ourselves. But I do 5
I don't
kids.
think you can. I don't think you can do it by yourself.
Yeah, no. That's one of the things in life you absolutely cannot do by yourself. And then, let's be honest. What does it really take from a guy? It's the woman doing all the work there.
That's
What they
pretty
say.
fair.
Hey,
that's what they
don't
say.
downplay the entire premise of this program, of which we are.
Our work,
30
our
deep.
work kicks in when the baby is born. Don't get me wrong. We come in
Well,
clutch then.
I'm gonna
talking
again
about
say you do a little bit of work,
the
and then
making
you
of the
do
baby.
nothing for like
Yeah.
9 or 10 months,
Yeah.
and then you work again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the drill.
Look at us.
That's the drill.
In a second, we're going to light up cigars. We'll be playing poker, talking about the good old days.
Dude,
Yeah.
can you imagine? That was always like what I had in my head, this image of when a baby is born. The guys are sitting around in smoking jackets with, puffing a few sticks. Some nurse comes in. It's a boy. They don't see him. All right, gentlemen, a toast of brandy to the thing.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah, I was on the golf course. My wife called me, and I said, "All right, well, tell me when
Sure.
they're potty trained." Hey. Not
Usually you started off as world's worst dad, so you
Yeah,
could just
no,
kind of
that's a
slide
lie.
in and get better. Start on the bottom and build.
I don't golf. Ollie, do us a solid and
Yeah.
do the intro the way it should be done.
All right, here we go, everybody. Today's guest is one of the most adventurous storytellers and travel hosts out there. Chet Garner has spent years crisscrossing Texas, uncovering its hidden gems and larger-than-life characters. As the creator and host of the Emmy Award-winning PBS series, The Daytripper, Chet brings viewers along for unforgettable road trips, sharing the history, food, and culture that make the Lone Star State shine. Based in Georgetown, Texas, Chet continues to expand his creative reach through live events, podcasts, and a growing collection of travel guides celebrating all things Texas. Off the clock, his greatest joy is being a devoted dad to his 5 children, sharing with them the same love of adventure, laughter, and discovery that fuels every episode of the show. Chet Garner, welcome to World's Greatest Dad.
Hey, it's good to be here. Oh, thank you. Hey, you wrote that down before you said it. I thought that was pretty good wordsmithing there.
Oh, Neil does all the real work.
Oh, okay.
I'm just a pretty
nailed
face.
And, good job for you.
Yeah,
I'm
Neil,
the
Neil's the
accidental
brains.
host, Chet. When this was originally called World's Greatest Dad with Ali Khan,
And I got fired.
and
I got
somehow
canned.
it has morphed into co-billing. He got a demotion, but that's okay because the thing we say is we're the world's greatest dads, and everyone who comes on this show is the world's greatest dad, and
Yeah.
anyone who's trying to be remotely better as the world's greatest dad. And rising tide floats all dads, right? Huh?
I love that. That should be on a T-shirt, dude. It's
In a way,
well said.
This
Well said.
podcast, to tie it to Texas a little bit, this podcast is really a lot like going on a river float. It's a lot more fun
Okay.
with a couple people.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
fun alone. Also,
No,
I'm not
no
really
way.
qualified to say anything on my own, possibly about anything. So, I really do need, if anything, I'm hanging on to you like a lifesaver.
So someone's got to keep this on the rails. So thank you, Neil.
Did you guys ever? Let's just go everywhere here. Let's totally diverge.
Love
Have
it.
you guys ever gone tubing or kayaking, or do you do that on the regular?
I have. I have certainly gone on tubing. I've definitely had many an adventure there. I actually, true story, lost my wedding ring tubing. Luckily, I was with my wife, so I didn't have to come home and explain that. It just slipped right off. I haven't gone in a while because the last time I went, I remember there was a gentleman out there, and he kind of casually was like, be careful for that cottonmouth. And I'm like, say what? I am not. I'm not a. I was never a Boy Scout. I'm not really much of a camper. I mean, I've done it here and there, but I mostly I was just into jumping in a river when it's super hot out and drinking beers. Now I just stick to going to a brewery. It also saves me the difficulty of having to drive back up after spending 3 hours in that tube. I mean, let's be real. How do people do it, Chet? You know what I mean? It's a lot of time out in the sun with some beverages.
Yeah, dude, it's a lot of time in the sun. There's a lot of beverages being consumed, and you're like, wait, it was a 4-hour float, and no one got out to use the restroom ever? Everybody's just kind of floating down the river, letting it flow, doing the thing. I mean, it's a good time. We've taken our kids tubing, but like with 5 kids, we've always had one in the zone of I'm perpetually trying to end my life. I'm going to jump off the tube and go into the banks of the cottonmouths, right? Like there's an age when a kid is just constantly trying to kill themselves, and you're the dad trying to keep them from doing that. And so I feel like it was the last couple years we've finally gotten out of that stage where we can throw, on a tube ride, I would keep my youngest in a life jacket, but now he can swim and like, all right, finally, it's not that like uber stressful moment where there's no enjoying it with a tube ride really with a 2-year-old. That's just not happening.
That's
and
just
so
liability.
We would do it and then just be kind of miserable the whole time, but now it's like golden time. So now we're doing it every summer. We go to Garner State Park in the summer and take a tube ride at least there. I haven't done like the Comal and the Guadalupe with the whole Garner gang yet, but I want to. We've definitely done kayaking and canoeing and trying to give the kids a taste of the Tom Sawyer childhood, is always a bit of a challenge, right? Because the kids want to, our devices are very good at entertaining us. And so you got to break them away from that. And so we're doing our best. We're doing our best. Hiking is outdoors is a big important part of our family. This summer we went to Colorado. I know I left Texas, right? It's a bit of a sacrilege, but we went and my 2 oldest are 16 and 14 now. And I was like, I'm really going to challenge them with a hike. And so we hiked Mount Elbert, the tallest peak in Colorado. Now it's by no means the hardest, but it is about a 7-8 hour walk, and they did it. So we're trying. We're trying.
You mentioned the Tom Sawyer childhood. Obviously, I was an English major, so
Yeah.
I'll drop that.
Yeah, there you go. Let's go.
I'm curious, have any of your children faked their own deaths and watched from the rafters, or painted fences, or maybe do they have any rambunctious friends named Huck?
Yeah. Dude, these are good questions. To my knowledge, none of my kids have run off onto a wooden raft and with a Indian looking for treasure and stuff like that. to my knowledge. So it's fun when like my kids. I started off with my oldest in scouts, and that unfortunately, I'm an Eagle Scout. That kind of derailed by COVID, and I was like, look, I can't make you like this. So if you want to step away, you can step away. He's like, yes, I absolutely want to step away. I was like, okay, fine. I'm not going to push my agenda on you. But he would go out. We did a couple camping trips with scouts, and then he would go out camping with his buddies. And like, you know, he had some friends who lived backed up to Lake Georgetown, which is all this Army Corps of Engineer land that, goes down to the lake. And him and his buddies were just going to go camping. And I'm like, all right, the part of me wanted to over dad it and go, all right, well, what's the plan? You got supplies. And then keep in mind, they're a couple 100 yards from someone's house, so it wasn't that big a deal. But like having that moment where you're like, look, go build a raft and try to sail, try to float across Lake Georgetown. I don't care. Like that's part of the childhood experience that I think helps our kids, try something and fail at it and then get better at things. So I would love it if my kid built a raft and tried to float down a river. I'm all for it, but it does take turning that part of your brain off and going, okay, I'm not going to dad this moment. The world will dad him right now, teach him some things that I can't teach him. So I'm all for like, look, cottonmouths aside, I don't know anyone in Texas who's actually been bitten by a cottonmouth that didn't intentionally try to pick it up. So it was one dude, he was an adult, and his name's Richmond, and he was actually picking it up to show his kids the difference between a venomous snake and a non-venomous snake, and it bit him. And he knew it was venomous, so that's on him. So his kids got to see dad being an idiot so that they could, learn to do otherwise. But the risk of snakes and rattlesnakes and all that stuff, I mean, it's so low in Texas. I don't actually know anybody who's been bitten by any of these that didn't intentionally ask for it, really. And so letting the kids have a long leash to go out and climb trees and build tree houses and, get in a little bit of Tom Sawyer shenanigan mischief is a good thing.
So you mentioned you have a 16-year-old, and how old is your youngest?
6.
6. That's
6.
So, by default, are the older kids, do they take on kind of like, would you even call it fatherly sibling roles? Like, where do they take care of them?
Dude, the difference between boys and girls is so vast. Like, it's innate. Like, so my oldest son, like, I gotta sit at family dinner. It's like, look, go play Legos with your 6-year-old brother, or else he's going to have no memories of ever playing Legos with his older brother. And he's like, so like I can guilt him into stuff, but he doesn't naturally want to do any of that. Versus my daughter, very much, like, let me braid your hair. Let me, let's do makeup together. Let's paint together. She's 14, so she's still very much into, let's build a fort. Out of cushions and play, or set up a fake restaurant. And but that's a little bit of that is her nurturing nature, but some of that's just her personality, So it's fun. She very motherly. My son, not fatherly at all. At all.
Well, I mean, that's a good thing, at 16 that he's not fatherly.
That's probably
parents,
true.
We have not had a teen parent on here yet, but he'll figure it out just like we had to, right? And so,
that's true.
Yeah. So taking it back, you've got a 16-year-old and a 6-year-old, quite a spread. For context, I don't know if you know, Ollie's son is 13.
Yeah.
My son is 5. My daughter is 7. So we're catching up on you. You're a few piano lessons ahead, but I guess I want to know, like, when your first kid, when your eldest was born or about to be born, what was going on? How did your life change? What were you already kind of on the TV track? Were you
Oh,
doing other food stuff? And like, how did becoming a dad, and I know it's a process, but how did that change with your first? And then how did, then walk us through the next 16 years?
sure, sure. Grab some popcorn, boys. Okay, when my first was born, I was still an attorney, fancy pants attorney practicing in downtown Austin. And I knew I didn't want to be an attorney forever. And so it was very much having a kid will throw your life into another dimension. I often say, like, you think you're living in a vibrant, multidimensional world until you have a kid. Well, no, and first is getting married, and then your life pops into two dimensions. You're like, whoa, this isn't just a flat drawing I'm looking at. And then boom, have kids, it's three dimensional. And you've got so many more things to think about, so many more people to think about. And at that moment, let's see, my son was, gosh, he was less than one. And I was like, look, I want to, it would be very easy to sort of settle in to being a dad, working hard, making lots of money, sort of providing for the family. But that was a wake up call for me of like, look, I mean, life's only going to speed up. So either I break away now and start this TV thing, or I don't. Right? There's a moment. Yeah, I had a window, and I was like, I've got to do this now. And not only that, but like I wanted to set an example for my kid that we're all gifted, and I believe I believe God gives us all sort of special skills and talents, and then our task is to sort of go out and figure out how to serve others with those, and how to do something that's encouraging and enriching for us, and not only provides great personal value, but also serves other people. And I was like, I'm a storyteller. I can't sit in an office, and I don't want my son to think that. I don't want him to see a dad that's not passionate about what he does. And so it was very much a wake up call. So my son was one, stepped away from law practice, went out and tried the TV thing. And that's when I guess we still weren't making any money for quite a while with the TV thing. Had a second kid in there, lived in East Austin in this tiny little 2-bedroom house. Wanted to have a third kid. Financially, it made no sense, but there's things that are way more important than money. So we're like, we're going to have a third kid. We joked that the city of Austin gave us our eviction notice, that was too many to live in the city limits. And so we moved to Georgetown, and then 3, 4, 5 happened up here. So that's the very condensed version. So
I'm curious because when you decided to leave, what kind of lawyer were you, first of all?
Intellectual property, trademarks and copyrights. I know, right?
Wow,
Fancy
sexy stuff,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, so when you decided to leave at the time, were you like moonlighting as a performer, or was it just kind of a dream you always had?
No. I mean, so my background is I was the kid who grew up with the VHS video camera on his shoulder making really dumb movies with my friends. So that was like what we did for fun. Like y'all have probably seen Attack of the Killer Space Noodles from Mars parts 1, 2, and 3. I mean, they were very big in Southeast Texas.
I never saw 3, so no.
Oh, okay. Never saw 3. Okay, good.
They
were literally about 4 noodles.
I watched it on Pluto. It was just
yeah. It's on Pluto.
On Pluto. It's like
you got to have the upgrade package though. You probably know that. Like it's an extra subscription.
We when we got this new chase card, it came with it for 6 months, so we're pretty stoked.
So you were a filmmaker.
Yeah, filmmaker is a stretch.
Hey,
but
you gotta start somewhere.
They were good. They were good to show at parties in front of girls because they thought it was impressive. And so we would do this, and then I majored in film at UT, but for all kinds of reasons, I did not want to go to LA and jump on the dog pile. It just probably scared. Fear was part of it. felt like I had more school in me, and so I wanted to keep going to school. And then it was like, you know what? If I go to law school, that doesn't really close off any options, and then maybe I'll find myself producing, or I'll find a back door into Hollywood as an attorney, and who knows where that'll go from there. But my joy was in just storytelling. And so went to law school, did well in law school enough to where they start dropping those big fat paychecks in front of you and like, here's your job. You know, this is what attorneys who are, if you're good at being an attorney, this is what you do. This is the pathway. And, you know, that's a danger. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean that's what you're supposed to do. Which a lot of people get told, you're good at math, you need to be an engineer. Like, well, not necessarily. So found myself good at being an attorney, or at least at law school. Went to do that at a law firm in downtown Austin, and I did that about 3 years. Actually, I did it about 2 weeks before I realized, like, this ain't gonna stick. I mean, there's just no way. Like, just no offense to the people who worked at the law firm, but I think a lot of attorneys will do this. A lot of people do that because it pays really well, not because the work is necessarily exciting. And, just a lot of people who were just kind of plugging away. I'm like, man, I don't want to do that. Like, often heard like it's better to be at the bottom of a ladder you want to climb than halfway up one you don't. And that's kind of a cheesy saying, but it really struck home with me at that point in life. And I was like, all right, I'm going to try to just do what I'm passionate about and see if I can turn it into a profession. And so that was but like having a kid was the thing that really lit a fire underneath me. That's like, it's kind of now or never. It only gets harder to do as you go. And I was probably 27, I guess, which that seems, I felt older then, but that's a young man to do that. But like, we're all like, there's parts of me that are very chicken. And so I was like, well, I've got a law degree. I've got a pretty good safety net. If this flames out, I'll just go back and be a lawyer.
But what was the first, what was the first opportunity? Was there kind of a local station that kind of gave you a break? Because you're giving your 2 weeks notice, and then what? What happens that Monday? Are you like, all right, ready to make a TV show?
I had filmed a pilot for the Daytripper about 6 months at the law firm, but I'd already filmed a pilot. And that was nothing more than me throwing my wife and 2 buddies into my truck and taking them to, at that point, I was like, I want to show Austinites that a town that they think is terrible is actually pretty cool. And at that point, everyone hated Waco. Like, Waco was the dog of I-35. And I was like, but I had gone to Baylor Law School, lived in Waco, found all these cool things to do. Great burgers in Waco. Great burgers in Waco. And was like, I'm going to show people that Waco's actually cool. And that was the one, went and filmed the pilot, showed it to PBS, and they were like, go raise money. And I was like, well, don't y'all give me money? Y'all have greenlit this episode. Like, this is when y'all give me the money. And they're like, nah, come on. We're PBS. We just beg people for money. We don't pay for anything. And I'm like, well, dang it. So they taught me how to like cultivate relationships and gave me some insight into that. And it took about 1.5 years before anyone was willing to give me a little bit of money to do it. About 1.5 years after the pilot was edited, which also took 6 to 9 months. And like, that was when I left the law firm, I had at least enough money to put gas in the car to take a summer off to go and actually see if I could make a TV show. So that was it. We had we made our first 5 episodes for $12,000. That was our massive budget.
Did you produce it?
Yeah, yeah.
So
produced, directed.
The zombie noodle movie, it kind of did come in handy.
Totally came in handy. My crowning opus of high school and college was a movie called Simon. The tagline was "Simon Says You're Dead," and it was we made it. It took 3 years to make, but my friend's dad owned Movieland Video, and so we were like, let's rent this thing. So we actually put it out for rent in the horror section of Movieland Video. Of course, it had all copywritten music on it. It was totally illegal. But we had one lady walk in and accidentally rent it. And so we were like, yes, got it.
Do you
And
have
to
an
my
archive
knowledge, she did not
somewhere?
ask for her money back.
Is all this stuff kind of lost, in to history, or does this all
We
exist in
haven't
a
we
vault?
haven't gone live with Simon or Space Noodles yet. So it's a matter of time. Just a matter of time, Neil.
I think the fans are curious.
Yeah,
I know I
Chet,
am.
there's this thing called YouTube. And at this point, with your following, I mean, how many movies have you made? Because,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it's one thing to say, oh, yeah, me and my high school friends made a movie. What that usually translates to, and Neil, you can back me up here. You're an artistic person who worked in the business. You maybe shoot 2 scenes, it's unedited. How many movies did you actually make? Like, shoot, edit, like... I mean, you got into a rental store. All of a sudden, you're not that far away from Robert Rodriguez from where I sit. Let's just put it that way.
Well, yeah, we're basically the same level from, if you were to ask anybody in the public.
I've
keep in
seen
mind,
Spy
we did
Kids.
not
Come on, Spike. Come on. Let's bring it back.
we did not ask permission from my friend's dad to put Simon out for rent. We just slapped it in a vacant VHS box and threw it out there. The DVD version did not come out till later when one of us could afford a DVD burner. But it was all. It's there might be a day. There might be a day. Like
So you made the pilot. You got a
Made the pilot.
5-episode pickup. At this point, you've got 1 kid, 2 kids,
one kid.
1 kid,
1 kid.
5 eps in the can. You're feeling like, all right, I did it. Then they ordered more. It seems like, because here we are.
Yeah. Well, PBS is very DIY, which is great because my whole movie career is DIY. It's really, I mean, one of my big mantras is, look, if you want to do something, don't wait for someone to give you permission to do it. Just go do it. And that's where a lot of people get held up with any creative idea. Like, I'm going to write a book, but someone's got to order the book deal, or I'm going to create a show, but someone's going to have to pay for it. Someone's got to latch onto the idea and give my idea permission before I do it. And so every season of the Daytripper was just, hey, if we can find more money, we can make more shows. And so cultivating relationships with people like Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, which have been sponsors of the show since season 1. And so that is just allowed us to keep going out and making super scrappy movies with my friends, which is exactly what the Daytripper is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how I'm curious what your parents thought about, what did they encourage you to do in terms of a career? And then knowing the path you chose, how do you encourage and talk to your kids about the career paths they might choose?
So I know how I encourage my kids to find a career they'll love. It is not the way I was encouraged by my parents. Like, my parents were wonderful parents, but no, there's no but. They're wonderful parents. They set a standard that, they set a standard of trying as hard as you can at everything. Just do your best, and that's good enough for us. But, they sort of knew that our best was straight A's. And so they were like, if you make less than straight A's, we're not celebrating you at all. And so that was just sort of the standard they set, which, it's got some fallout, right? It makes some people, sort of me included, kind of addicted to productivity and achievement. And that's been a really tough thing for me to sort of figure out in life. I don't want to create that drive in my kids. Obviously, I want them to excel and stuff. But I mean, I told my dad is a physician, and when I went to UT to major in film, I was also a pre-med major for 3 years. And I said, look, hey, Dad, I'm going to be a doctor because you can go to medical school with any degree you want. And so I'm just going to do all my pre-med requisites, and then I'll end up in medical school. And they were like, okay, whatever, it makes sense to me. That was kind of the thing. That makes sense to me. And so I would bring an idea. That makes sense to me. And so we didn't talk hardly at all about where we were going to college or what we were going to be when we grew up. Like really very little. And so, and in a certain degree, like I guess maybe that was helpful because it didn't put any pressure on, but also it meant that I was sort of without counsel on it. And so what I'm trying to cultivate in my kids, and maybe it's putting more pressure on them, I hope it doesn't, but I think it might be, is look, you need to go out, you need to see where you're gifted, what you enjoy, and that is an indication of where you need to spend your time as an adult with your profession. And it doesn't matter how much money you make, but that's just like go out there and find something you're passionate about, and it's not just about you making as much money, it's about serving others and using your talents to do that. Like, because through what I do, I'm able to keep a staff employed. I'm able to educate people about Texas. Yes, there's a totally, like, I've got a very cool job, but I try not to, I try to make it about, like we're doing a service to other people. That's what I hope, that's at least what I tell myself. So that's what I counsel my kids at. But it's hard because we live in such an era where kids have so many opportunities that I think telling them, hey, guess what? Now you've got to figure out what you're good at and what you can do in life. I think that creates a tremendous amount of pressure on these kids. I mean, you can decide everything nowadays, like what I'm taking at school, whether or not I'm going to do sports, whatever. Like, to a certain degree, we were told you're doing this, and that's it. That's what you're doing. And so, that's kind of helpful sometimes. Like, all right, I might groan about it, but at least I'm it's certain, this got decided for me. So there we go. Like, there's a whole lot of benefit to arranged marriages, boys. Like, hey, that's the one. I don't have to figure that out. I got it, and then we go.
The grass is always greener, right? What did your dad?
You know what? Like, I think about these things a lot, and I'm raising my kids with this idea of like, look, I want you to really do something you love. You're going to spend a tremendous amount of time at your future job, so identify what you're passionate about. Identify, what revs your engine, like what energizes you to do more of it, because that is where you're going to find the most value, worth. You're probably going to be naturally good at it, so you're going to excel. But you need to, do some soul searching and try to figure that out. I don't expect any of my kids to go into the creative world at all. I don't think any of them will, because I haven't pushed that on them. So, for better or for worse, whether it puts too much pressure on it, that's where I fall. Like, hey, kids, you need to know that your talents are not an accident. Like, your things you enjoy are not an accident. I mean, I'm a Christian, so I believe that those were given to us by God. And so that's kind of a cool indication of where you're supposed to fit into the world, serving others, that kind of thing.
Did your dad, I mean, and because I had a father who was a physician as well, was he disappointed when he found out that you were not, in fact, going to go to medical school and not become a doctor like him?
Ollie, the most awkward dinner I've ever sat through was the one where I told him instead of going to med school, I was going to go be a lawyer. Oh, he didn't have very many strong opinions on much, but that did not make him happy, because as a doctor, he'd been sued by lawyers. That was his experience with lawyers. Blood-sucking parasites.
So then,
that was rough.
So what did he say then when you said, hey, I'm quitting my, frankly, lucrative job at a law firm to, become a television star?
Well, my mom, he probably said, okay. and then my mom said, that makes a lot of sense. You weren't going to be a lawyer for long. So I've had an incredibly long leash from my parents to find what I do. And so have my siblings. And I imagine their experience has been very much the same. Like, got some good counseling about the nuts and bolts of things, budgeting, keeping a checkbook, being good at something, excelling, but As far as like what I do, like very little guidance. Very little. Or pressure that I'm going to do it wrong. Like that, that might be the biggest gift my parents gave me is a tremendous amount of leeway to fail at something. And no judgment when I did. And like, because it was like, hey, did you, go out and try it and do your best. And if you don't, not that big a deal. But they knew what our best was. So with grades and stuff, that wasn't an option. But like, oh, cool, you want to be in theater? Let's go do it. Or you want to be in taekwondo? Let's go do it. And then when I'm terrible at taekwondo, like, all right, no big deal. Let's go. Let's move on. And so it created, I think in all my siblings, we're save for maybe my older brother, very much a let's see, let's see if it works. Screw around and find out, that kind of thing. And Boy Scouts did that to me a lot because Boy Scouts, you have so many skills that you're expected to learn all the time. You're not going to be good at all of them, and and that's okay.
It's so interesting because you both exude this risk-taking attitude and ability, but then also clearly you have a little bit of a conservative bend of I got to be a lawyer, maybe I'll go to med school. I got to make sure that I can provide, like how do you manage those two impulses? Because clearly, you never did move to LA. You want that stability, but you also want to take risks. I mean, how does that, factor into your life and then into your parenting?
Yeah, having loving parents gave me a lot of confidence to take risks. But I guess, I was, because I kind of knew like I wasn't ever going to be homeless. And that's not a benefit that every kid has. So stability of a home where if I move back in, that's not a big deal. Like they would open me in the door tomorrow. I didn't get kicked out of my house. Like, like when you're 18, son, you better strap it on and get out there and you're never moving back in. That was never said to me. And so like, if I had moved to LA and it didn't work out, I knew I could come back home. And so that was actually pretty low risk, I guess. Now I was dating my wife, so that happened a lot to do with it. I didn't want to go out there, and leave her back in Texas. So that was a big part of it. I guess, calculated risks. I think a lot of people don't even get to the math. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What is that? They just see, well, if it doesn't work out, it's going to be so. This is something that I also help walk my kids through. Ollie, you might be able to talk about this. Like, okay, you're going to do this. What if it doesn't work out? Oh gosh, it's going to be terrible. Okay, why is it going to be terrible? Well, because I don't know. Just be embarrassing. Okay, that's just all up here. I'm not going to be disappointed in you. Your friends probably aren't going to care. So the worst case is you feel a little bad, and that's not that big a deal. Are you going to go without a meal? Of course not. Are you going to go without a place to live? No. Are you going to get fired? No, probably not. Like if people actually do the math and we doomsday a lot in our head, and you got to keep your kids from doomsdaying. What is the actual thing that might happen? What is the worst case scenario that might actually fall out of this? And truthfully, play it out. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So I do calculated risks for all my stuff. So like, I guess it was like, well, what's the worst case scenario if I get a film degree and I don't have a backup plan? Oh, I'm waiting tables. And not to minimize waiting tables, but like with a college degree, doing that, like, okay, I should be able to use my college degree for something, but it's a film degree. Like, okay, well, I better have a better worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, I go to med school. Worst case scenario, I go to law school. So I guess maybe that was the calculus, playing out the worst case scenario and making sure that I could still live with it. There he is.
Surprise, I hit the wrong button. It's interesting. I feel like there's something, when you mentioned that your dad was a doctor, you had expectations of getting really good grades, very much encouraged to the fact that you said, oh yeah, I'm going to be a pre-med major. And you were, while you, secretly were like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'll cook.
Secretly just want to make movies about pool noodles killing people.
I'm also be a film major, and I'm also setting myself up for the LSAT. I swear to God, Chet, like, you have a lot in common with certain Asian American and South Asian American first gen kids like myself. It's because it's that high achiever stuff. But what strikes me as interesting is you seem to have parents that had high expectations, but they didn't draw the line in the sand that said, if you do this, you are not my son. And that might be kind of an extra nuanced thing that, I know being a first gen with immigrant parents who literally built themselves up from, a lot less than others, kind of like, that was kind of a scar in there too. But it is amazing because, at least I'm a little jealous because you're like, yeah, well, worst case scenario, you've got backup plans. And I'm like, not this puppy.
Not this guy, yeah.
That's why I'm doing this. This is the backup plan. World's greatest dad. I'm leaning into that. But it's interesting. Like, is that something like, I know you seem to really be open and enlightened about having your kids find their path. But at the same time, you have to admit, you benefited from parents who had high expectations because you had fantastic backup plans. My guy was an IP lawyer while he was shooting his pilot. I was working answering phones at a web design company with half the engineers overseas. Believe me, it was not a cush job. So, just kind of curious about that. Like, do you have certain kind of expectations for your kids in terms of, the straight up, like, good grades or, I'm just kind of curious about all that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. I have very high expectations of my kids, but I will say, it's different. It's different for each kid. And I've told them, like, some of my kids, I expect straight A's, and not just straight A's, but like high A's, because I've got one kid who wants to go to UT, and you know how hard that is right now. And he may end up there, he may not. I'm going to let him make that decision. I'm not pressuring him to go to UT. That's my alma mater. But if he decides later that's not his path, I'm fine with that. But I don't want him to close those doors off for himself when that's a possibility. And so I'm pushing him because I know he's capable of it. But I will not push a couple of the others, and I won't name names, toward that, because I know what their best is. And when he asks, that's not fair, I will pull him aside into a room and I will say, look, your brain works different. Your expectation was higher because I knew that. And so that is to answer your question. My parents never drew a line in the sand to where I would do something that they wouldn't still love me, support me with it. Now, they may not approve of it, but they would love me and support me. I never felt at risk of losing that.
I'm curious, it makes a lot of sense having different expectations for kids based on their abilities and needs and stuff. And that's something that I'm one of three. I know my parents would always say, like, our kids need different things. And so not everybody gets the same. And I wonder how you feel about, like, do you think that eliminates like a competitiveness amongst the kids, or, how does that manifest in terms of like how they all get along with each other? Because I think, I don't know, how many siblings did you have growing up?
3. I'm one of 4.
You're one of 4, and you created a what'd you call it? The Garner gang of 5 kids.
Yeah.
So how do they interact with each other in terms of like rivalry and expectations and who gets what? How does that all go down?
We're just now starting to see it because we're getting to where the older ones are achieving very well, and some of the other ones are just kind of tagging along. And so you have to address it. You just have to address it. So like I've got my oldest daughter is a freak athlete. Like, she made #1 female athlete at her middle school. And she doesn't do any select sports, and yet she would start on every A team. You know, like that's the big lie nowadays. You have to do select sports or else your kid won't make the volleyball team or whatever. We're an anomaly. She didn't do any select sports, and she's made starting A team on all of them. So she's just a freak athlete. My younger two daughters see that, and they think, oh, I'm just going to roll up and make all A team. That's what Garners do. We just start on A team. Like having to be like, look, you're going to need to practice a lot. I believe you can do it, but you're going to have to practice a lot. I was like, yeah, well, Rin didn't practice. Like, yeah, she didn't, but don't expect, that's not the standard. Don't expect that. And so there's some middle kid things happening of like, well, the older sibling achieved this. That's the expectation. And just making sure that they understand like, no. That's not the expectation. So like my second daughter didn't make the volleyball team. And it was like, it was hard. And it was like, well, look, hey, like that's just not your thing. God made her good at volleyball. You got something else. Let's go find out what that other thing is. And so now she's doing cross country and like loves it. So it's like, it just takes a lot of coaching. I'm probably like one of those dads that doesn't, you know what I am. I'm one of those dads that doesn't shy away from the hard, obvious things to protect my kids emotionally. I know that may seem harsh, or some parents like, well, yeah, but I'll hurt their feelings. And my wife and I go back and forth about this all the time. I wouldn't say I hurt their feelings, but like that hard idea that your sister's better at you at a sport and that was just natural, that's could be really hard for a kid to hear. But if we don't say it, they're just going to make up probably a worst case scenario in their head that they don't have any value because they didn't make the volleyball team. It's like, no, you have lots of value. You just aren't as good at volleyball as your sister, and that's okay. Like, but you're telling me I'm not as good as my sister? Yes, you're not. And the world told you that you didn't make the team. Like, so I'm not going to tell you that. I'm not going to blame the coaches and tell them they were crazy. You shouldn't have made it. You're not as good as the other kids. But that doesn't mean you're not still have infinite value. Let's pivot.
Yeah.
Close that door and pivot.
I love that. And it sounds like the kind of dynamic you're cultivating in the home, the lesson you're teaching is that your value isn't tied to achievement and that love isn't tied to it. And so like, we love you no matter what. And you're rewarded for effort in the thing that you want to do, that you enjoy, that you excel at. And as opposed to, the kid who gets the best grades gets the most love, or the kid who gets the best, score. It's just like, that's not your thing. Go do something else.
No, not at all. Not at all. You're 100% right, Neil. We reward effort, not achievement. And gosh, that's a hard thing to do. My son made varsity football as a junior, and so we're doing the Friday Night Lights thing right now, which is super fun. I have constantly had to check myself and say, I'm so proud of you for being on varsity. Like, no. That, like, man, it's so much fun. You're under the Friday Night Lights, this big thing. Because what if he gets dropped back to JV in a couple weeks, like, is his dad no longer proud of me? And so that's been the most recent thing, Neil. Like, hey, I'm so proud of how hard you've worked, and the coaches have seen it. Man, you're giving good effort. Keep going. So, man, all the time we have to do that.
And that's such a challenge because our society, rewards external achievement so much. I mean, even with young kids, this was something that like my wife and I kind of had to learn and are still learning, is like that they say, if your kid's drawing a picture, don't say, oh, that's so cool, that's so good. You say, you worked really hard at that. And it's just, we're so wired to go, that's really good. And yet, they say that then you're teaching them, oh, I only praise if it's good, but it's a hard thing to grasp as a parent.
Yeah. Right. Well, because you translate it to grades and like they come home and bomb on a test, I'm disappointed in that because I feel like they didn't give the effort So helping a kid differentiate between the bad grade and the effort, I think that's the real secret sauce to help them flip in their own brain. Yeah, I didn't study. I did not try very hard, and the grade reflects that. Rather than I'm disappointed in the grade, I'm disappointed in your preparation.
You know, it's interesting. I feel like I'm very much in the same boat in terms of like recognizing the bigger picture and going, well, effort is huge versus result. Effort versus being result oriented. That being said, and you know, it's different because academics, every family kind of lives with their own academic results, right? However, when you have kids who participate in sports, and then you are dealing with a collective, a team sport, and there are other parents, and they have different expectations and different parenting styles. And I've seen it in volleyball when kids didn't make the 1A team in boys volleyball. There were parents that were upset. You are doing Friday Night Lights football. Do you witness, do you see obviously the different parenting style / expectations, and how does that maybe even reflect to your own son? Because, you know, there are some loud dads out there on Friday nights.
You're coming into a spot. My inner brain has been working a lot lately on this, and so I'm seeing some parents who have watched film with their son, you know, and pointing out things their sons did wrong and things they did right. And I'm not in those living rooms, so I don't know. But those kids are getting better at football, you know? Maybe to their demise because the pressure cooker at home is intense and they're terrified if they don't play well, they get yelled at. I don't know that. But I do see that sort of this hands-on approach maybe to sports yields a better player. And so I'm starting to go like, well, do I need to sit down rather than go like, hey, try your hardest, go out there and hustle. I'm proud of you no matter what happens. All right. That can do well. Maybe that's better in the long term. Or should I sit down with my kid and be like, hey, let's talk about that game. Dude, you blew that coverage. What happened? Don't do that again. Or because my son plays safety, or the effort thing. Hey, I love you. Now I will say this, and this is the thing. We're blessed to have an amazing coach up here in Georgetown, Coach Griffin, and he's like, don't coach your son. We're gonna coach your son. I want when your son comes home, I want you to just look him in the eye and say, I love you. It is so much fun to watch you play, and that's it. And then you let us coach your son. And so I did love that, and that's been my sort of what I've done. Hey, we love cheering you on. We love watching you play. We love you, and we're proud of you. And then let them handle all the beat down. So I think that's probably the right thing that I'll stick with.
I think that's.
But
huge.
Dude, parenting is so much bobbing and weaving, dude, and it only gets more complicated. You know, because with the older kids, yours is getting into that. You become so much of a counselor to them. It's not just like, hey, don't touch the stove because it's hot and it'll burn you, and like keeping them alive. And Neil, you're sort of in that stage. You're sort of cresting over. And we get into this stage.
It's funny, yeah. Well, my son is at 5, and he's a kind of a rim bug. I don't know where he gets it from. Certainly not me. Maybe his mom. Like, he will climb anything, jump off anything. You know, I worry sometimes that he doesn't have the gene that allows you to feel pain, because he'll like skateboard and be like, get knocked down, get back up. But then my daughter, it's very much, we're getting into the like, hey, you got to do your reading, for homework, and she's like, oh,
oh yeah,
and then we're like, and then we'll have to be like, hey, if you don't want to do it, then you just have to tell your teacher I didn't want to do it. And then she's like, fine, I'll do it.
Oh,
so the guilt works on her, but I know when my son gets that age, we'll be like, hey, you have to tell your teacher you didn't want to do the reading. He'll be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, that's fine.
So
totally.
It is interesting. I mean, you have 5 different personalities under that roof.
Yeah, they're so different, dude. I think we did it all the same, man. They're so different. And like it's just stages and chapters. We're in that stage now where my son's late at football. He'll make it home for dinner. He'll do homework. And then, man, about 10 p.m., he'll sit down, start emotional dumping. And I love it that I'm a safe place for him to do that. But I got to go to bed, man. And so it's a new chapter of us just trying to be like, everything's a chapter. It's all a stage.
What's something you wish, in the dad advice world, someone had told you before you started on this journey? Something that you're like, man, I wish I heard that sooner.
Oh, shoot. Oh, man. What's something like it? It's that everything is a stage, and just when you feel like you've mastered it, you've got another one is coming that you're not prepared for, and that's okay. Like everything's in a chapter, and there's one moment, there will be a day when our very busy house is quiet, and to keep that in mind while we're raising these kids, there'll be a day when our house is quiet and my wife and I are having dinner alone. If we make, hopefully, praise God, hopefully we make that. If we're blessed enough to make it that long. Because we got a lot of young kids. It's going to be a while. But everything comes in stages. Because, when you're living in the trenches of raising young kids, you just like, I got to get through this stage. I got to get, or like I'm getting a hold of it and then it changes. But you're ready to get out of it. Like, we got to get out of diapers. As soon as we're out of diapers, we'll be out of diapers. And then there's another stage behind that that's harder than diapers, in some ways. And so just kind of, that's something I got to preach to myself all the time. But I wish I'd had someone set me down and be like, look, it's going to be hard, but it's going to be over. And you won't remember the hard necessarily. You'll remember the good stuff. Like, we had so many kids, because you forget how hard the baby stage is, and then you have another one like, oh gosh, this is so hard, and then it's over before you know it. But I would say, like, I enjoyed my youngest son's infancy so much more than I enjoyed my firstborn son's infancy, because by the time my youngest son was, born, my oldest son he was 10. He was way out of the baby stage. And I'm just using my boys as examples. I love the girls, but the more you have, you're like, oh gosh, I forgot about the sweet parts of this, And so I was like the oldest son, and we were having babies after. It was like, gosh, just get through it, and you sort of move through it like a robot. But and then suddenly I had perspective with my youngest son, and I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot, like what it's like to hold a little baby boy and to teach him what a robot is. And I'm just using the boys as examples. Like, he doesn't know what a robot is. That's so cool. I get to teach him what a robot is. And, now he's 6, and so we play Legos all the time. And like I enjoy playing Legos more with him because I know it's not going to last forever. So
that is something, like, there are those moments where you get to explain, like, just super cool things that are just totally, like, my kid would ask me things about comic book characters and stuff, and I'm like, oh, you don't know. The most recent...
You don't know anything. You don't know who Spider-Man is.
Yeah, I get to tell you about, like, origin stories and all this, like, silly stuff. Since we're kind of in this reflective stage, I'm kind of curious, like, what do you hope your kids remember the most about you as a dad?
Man, presence. Yeah, I'll cry if I think too much about it, but presence. I make a travel show, so there's a lot of times I'm on the road, and so I don't want my kids to be like, man, my dad was always on the road. I don't want them to remember that. I want to remember that I was home a lot. That's it. Because that is the gift we give our kids, more than anything, is just, I'm here with you and you're the most important person in the world right now.
If you could take one moment from fatherhood and freeze it forever, what would it be?
Ooh. Oh man, it's uh, it's right now. It's right now, or maybe yeah, like, or maybe it was 2 years ago, but right now. I mean, we're like I feel like with our oldest, we're on the final lap, man. He's 16, you know? He's middle like beginning of his junior year. And so I know how important it's going to be to look back and go, "Man, remember when we had all five at home?" So that's what I'm trying to take in. And it's hard, man. Oh, it's hard. But that's right now.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned being a dad?
Ooh. Dude, like, you know, there is nothing else on earth that will make you deal with your selfishness like being a dad. Marriage did it a little bit, but when you're a dad, man, you are staring straight into the face of selfishness and going, "Gosh, I don't want to come and read you a book. I want to watch Monday Night Football." You know? Like, well, gosh. And there's not to say that we shouldn't watch Monday Night Football. I did last night with my oldest son. But it just makes you realize, like, gosh, I really do a lot of stuff for me. And then you've got these little people you're in charge of raising and teaching, and you're like, you know, the Bible calls us to die to self, right? In a lot of ways. And like, that's what parenting does, man. It takes that stuff and it kills it because it has to, or else you're just going to be a distant kind of selfish dad. And that's what I don't want to be. That's what I don't want to be. So hopefully it's helped me to put to death some of my selfishness.
Love that. All right, you've been so generous with your time. We're going to do two more things. We're going to
Let's
do
go.
a segment that's called Brag About Your Kids, which I'll explain in a moment. And then Ollie's going to take you through the dad lightning round. So first,
Let's go.
brag about your kids. So the way this works, this is going to be a little bit more challenging for you, seeing as you're setting the record. We give you 30 seconds to brag about all your kids. Usually we're telling people, oh, you have two kids. You can split it 15 and 15. You want to brag about
30
one
seconds?
25?
Holy moly.
So I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. By the way, you could just talk about one kid, or you could talk about them all at once. It's up to you.
The
You
world will
decide.
know who my favorite is, right?
You're the father. So I'm going to put 30 seconds on the clock. And Chet Garner, ready? Brag about your kids.
Oh, man. All right. The oldest son, Fielding, coach identified him as a leader in the locker room, asked him to lead a Bible study in the morning with a senior boy, doing that. Love that. His leadership. The girl stood up after volleyball lost the other day, gave a speech to her entire team about how they needed to get their act together. I thought, all right, she's giving that Rudy speech. I love it. The third, not a runner at all. Waking up and doing cross country every morning. And we actually gave her an opportunity to not do
That's
it
time.
one morning and sleep in. And she said, no, I want to go run. I said,
And that's
let's
time.
go. Oh, no. Dang it. All right.
It's hard.
We're
It's
done.
hard to brag about your kids.
That's okay. All right. Fair. The youngest two get left out anyway all the time. This is appropriate.
I think
See?
it's fair.
Exactly.
They've got a lot more years to turn into
Yeah.
people.
That's
I
it.
think you're
At some point, they'll have
recognizing
mom and dad
these-
to themselves.
Yeah. No, I like your approach. It was, I mean, an impossible task. An impossible task. And also, for the youngest, you'll be like, he's so cute because he's like, I want to play with the brontosaurus. It's like, yeah, that's not unique. Like, you chose to acknowledge, you know, how your kids are turning into individuals, which I think is
and
the
you know what's
real secret sauce.
Yeah. And what's so interesting too, and I don't have 5 children, but you know, because you have such a spread of ages, like on the one hand, your eldest kids, you could say, well, they get more years, you know, with mom and dad. But on the other hand, they get the mom and dad who haven't done it before. You know, they don't know what
Dude,
they're
yeah.
doing. And maybe they're exhausted and frazzled. And then the younger ones, they potentially get the more calm, wise mom and dad.
Yeah,
for
that's
the
right.
for
A
less
little more
years.
gray
So
in
it
the
is kind of a
beard.
trade-off, you know, in terms of birth order. So I do think that's interesting.
You know, my oldest loves this line. I can't wait to see when Shepard is old and you guys have forgotten all these rules and you don't make him follow any of them. Like that. All right, that might happen with some of them, but not all of them. He's like, he goes, he thinks he's getting the raw end of every rules deal. Like, but it might be true. Honestly, it might be true. By the time Shepard, our youngest, is up there, we may be so exhausted and whatever, we just give him over to the universe to raise him.
Well, I think we get more data points. I'm a believer that, humanity ultimately is evolving and progressing. And there might be new problems and pitfalls, but when we talk to dads and we reflect about how we were brought up, yeah, I don't know. Like, you're just like, yeah, he did get the raw end of the deal. He's right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the way it is. Welcome to the past.
Yeah.
You want to grow up in dinosaur times? It was savage. I've seen every Jurassic Park movie. Someone dies. It's terrible.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are going to do the lightning round.
Let's go.
Okay, great. Okay, here comes the lightning round. All right, Chet. Parenting advice in 5 words or less.
That
was 3 O's.
Let's see. Meal time is important.
Meal time. Okay, you
Meal time is important. Add it in 3.
5 or less. 5 or less. One travel essential every dad should own.
Ooh. A road map.
Wow.
A map, like a paper map. Paper map.
Wow.
And the kids want to know how far it is till we get there. I'll throw the paper map at them. You figure it out. Tell me.
Wow.
Because it forces them to think about, this was wild. When my son started driving, he had no idea what direction from our house the high school was.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably just my kid. He's incredibly smart, but he can be kind of spacey at times. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And so didn't let him use the GPS for a while. And now he is super proud that he can navigate stuff. I was like, how did you ever not know what, he couldn't walk out the driveway and point toward anything.
Wow.
And I was like, I think with our phones telling us where to go, or maybe he just wasn't paying attention when we were driving places. He just kind of had lost a sense of space. And as a traveler dad, I want my kids to kind of have an idea that when they're in Austin or Georgetown, they're sort of here and the rest of the world is out there. And China's that way, and Europe's that way, and the North Pole's that way. And I don't know. I want them to kind of have an idea, just a conceptual idea of where they fit into the bigger world around them.
Man, I got to tell you, you are a true travel host, because in my mind, I thought about dental floss or something that would be in my toiletry bag.
Dude.
Because
I'm addicted to the teeth cleaner things now, man. I can't. I floss more now than I ever have in my life because of the little flosser things in my car.
When you go on vacation and you don't have your automatic toothbrush, the regular brush doesn't work. It's not the same. Anyway,
not the same.
We're getting back to the lightning round.
Yeah.
Things got a little awry here. Ultimate dad snack for the road.
Ooh, ultimate dad snack, share size of peanut butter M&Ms. That's me every day.
Peanut butter.
Share size, because if you get the regular size, you're gonna get 2 of them.
Yeah.
And the kids are gonna eat the rest of them.
Okay.
So you gotta get the share size, the biggest, the better, and you pass that sucker around, man.
All right.
Peanut butter M&Ms.
I think I know the answer, but I'm asking it anyways. Country roads or city streets?
Ooh, yeah, come on now. No, give me a hard one. Country roads.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Growing up, one of the things my love for travel, my dad, we would travel from Southeast Texas to sort of North Texas to visit my family, and there was no direct route. So my dad was always looking for a faster route, or I would obsess over a map and ask, I think if we take this country road, we can get there faster. And so that's why I fell in love with country roads.
I was going to say,
walking out my window.
It goes without saying that you spent a lot of your childhood on road trips.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tons. Shoved in the back of a Suburban on top of a mattress. So we had we had six. There were six kids in the family, and like when you got to haul the luggage, they would just rip out the back seat, stuff the luggage in, and then a mattress on top.
Because of these,
So you would slide into this mattress like with about 2 inches for the sagging headliner to rub on your face. Excuse me, boys.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Take a minute, clear it out. Maybe you need a peanut butter M&M. All right, I kind of know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Would you rather have a permanent GPS with infinite battery or a car with never-ending fuel?
Oh, car with never-ending fuel.
I know. This man needs a map. Look at you. You would have helped out Columbus.
The map. By this point, the map's pretty much all up here.
Yeah. Now I get it. You're a map guy. Barbecue or Tex-Mex?
Oh, terrible question.
Cutting to the bone.
Shoot. It's barbecue today.
Yeah. Okay.
Today.
I get that.
It might be Tex-Mex tomorrow.
The thing is, if you get barbecue, you could probably run into Tex-Mex. But if you're getting Tex-Mex, if you're getting barbecue in Tex-Mex, it may not be the barbecue. It may not be the best barbecue it could be. So I think that's
very, very true.
I split that one.
But
good.
I don't know if it's not really Tex-Mex, but there's times I'll eat a fish taco and I'll go, I think I could eat this fish taco for the rest of my life.
Oh yeah, for sure. 100%.
Like random stuff like that.
Yeah. Barbecue is almost limitless at this point, because you never know what else.
That's kind of true.
Kids show or movie you secretly enjoy.
Oh, what, like a kids movie I secretly enjoy?
Yeah. Is it Spy Kids 3? Come on. Now.
Oh, come here. Come on. Kids movie I secretly enjoy. But because I still love kids movies, man.
Okay. Well, what's your favorite?
Anytime the kids want to put on Lego Movie, I'm down.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Lego Movie is so good.
Absolutely.
But I'm always like, hey, we could watch Labyrinth again. Anybody? Because Labyrinth is awesome. Although my kids hate Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And then you turn on Goonies and you're like, oh yeah, there is that Playboy scene in Goonies. Dang it, dad fail. It was the 80s.
Oh, you know what? That might go on our Substack, Neil. That's a good dad fail. That's huge. I think I have a dad hack on there. That is a great dad fail.
Yeah. You forget, man, the 80s kids movies were different. I mean, different.
Yeah. Like I said, we progress as a society. I do believe that. George Strait or Willie Nelson?
Oh.
Yeah.
On a road trip, Willie Nelson. Because he's sort of vibey.
Yeah.
But in life, probably George. His catalog is just infinite. Okay. But on a road trip, like Willie's gonna, he's gonna set the vibe.
Yeah.
But Willie gets a little sad sometimes. The more you listen, he just blue eyes crying in the rain. You're like, no, make it in.
Whatever it takes to get the miles through, right? Road trip must have for kids.
For kids, shoot. I mean, I hate to say it, but we let our kids be on technology quite a bit on road trips. Not infinitely. I mean, if we're on a 4-hour road trip, we won't just let them be on it the whole time.
Yeah.
But man, road trips with me and my wife is one of the few times we get to talk to each other. So
yeah.
The less we can parent, the better on a road trip. Don't get me wrong, we still parent, but it's like, yes, turn on a movie. Which I like. It is the device thing is sort of sad because everybody's doing their own thing. As much as we can, we try to get all the kids watching the same movie together. So I think that's important. So we'll pop up a laptop and have them, because our cars nowadays, they're like, because they think everyone has a device, it doesn't have the built-in screens like they used to. And so we'll still pop up a laptop and make everybody watch the same movie, which is the same reason I still love going to the movie theater. There's there's something about the communal experience of watching a movie that's still so precious to me.
It's an amazing sign of the times when we can literally, my wife and I will say, we will encourage our son to watch Netflix or some sort of scripted show versus doom scrolling YouTube shorts. That's
Oh,
the sign of the
no, no,
times
no.
we're in.
Yeah. For sure. 100%. Or all kids are want to go on YouTube and watch, 5 or 6 things. We're like, guys, turn it off. Watch a movie.
Yeah.
We got a narrative, we got plot, we got character development, we have tension, all the things. Like, watch a movie.
Greatest TV dad of all time.
Oh man. The the dad, I mean, he's not that great of a dad, but he's the funniest is the dad from Modern Family. What's his name? Duff. He's
Good answer.
he's such an
Good
he's such an
answer.
idiot, but he's so good.
Yeah.
He's not parenting right. Like, we're not taking parenting tips from him, but he's pretty darn close. I mean, Tim the Toolman Taylor was doing a pretty good job counseling. Like, again, the 80s, right? Sitcoms had like a moral. We're going to have some troubles, and then at the end, we're going to pull it all together into this, like, moral lesson. Cosby Show was that way. Tool Time or Home Improvement was that way. I guess that was the 90s. And then a lot of those other ones, like, you'd have a conflict that got resolved into a moral thing, which is good, Saved by the Bell was that way. Y'all remember, like, there was always a conflict, and then it kind of turned into a what's the moral of the story.
I think Seinfeld kind of changed it because it was like no hugging, no learning.
The show about nothing, and we're like, we like that. Okay.
Well, you know what? Honestly, Larry David, he is I love Larry David, but he was the start of the anti-hero movement in TV. He's like, no.
Yeah, true.
No, I'm not here to teach you anything. This is television.
That's 100% true.
Yeah, because we were kind of
curious what y'all's answers are to that one.
Oh my God! We've never had to do our own lightning round. Perhaps we should at some point. I don't have a good answer. Oh my God!
I'm stealing one from a guest we had, and I just think it's brilliant. Was Uncle Phil, and he actually touches on those super powerful, dramatic scenes, and it's so funny.
It is a good one.
Get emotional I do love because Uncle
Phil
was more of a dad for Will than his own dad was, which says a lot about what it really means to be a dad.
Yeah, and we all saw what happened when you don't have a father figure in your life. You end up rushing the Oscars stage, slapping someone.
Well, in that sense, maybe Uncle Phil failed us.
Yes. All right, keep it going. Keep it going.
Okay, here we go. Favorite activity to do with your kids on a road trip?
Ooh. Oh, we do the My kids hate it, but we're like, look, we're going to do a family activity. I'm going to wherever, and I'm bringing the first person starts with A. Then the next person gets the letter B, and they have to repeat the A and add the B. And see, we have enough people. It's basically like summer camp on our road trips. With a smaller family, it doesn't work that well. But, like, then you've got to say, do you know the game I'm talking about? Like,
no, but I understand the concept.
I'm going to New Braunfels, and I'm bringing an axe. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to New Braunfels. Yeah. I'm bringing a beat and an axe. Whatever. Like, then you got to go around the horn and do that. We do that all the time. The kids are like, oh, not again. But then they get into it. Mm. You got to force your kids to do a lot of stuff. But by the end, it's good for them.
We would play Guess the Fruit. That was a good one.
Like 20 questions style?
You just guess, yeah. I don't know. We just
okay.
Yeah, basically. All right, we're bringing it home. Chet Garner, best part about being a dad.
Oh, man. Like, where else in the world do you have this much opportunity to shape whatever the next generation's going to be? Like, the dad life is the ultimate responsibility, and like, we live in a time where, and some people want less responsibility. When you're a dad, you don't have that option. Like, this is the trenches, this is the work, this is the payoff, this is the struggle and the joy. It is no other relationship is as well. Maybe your spouse, that's also in the same category, but like a relationship that really the stakes are high. There's no days off. And man, you're in it. Like that to me is the ultimate like struggle value in life. It's wonderful. It's awful and it's wonderful and it's rewarding and it's terrifying and it is it's the most complex plot on the planet, and we're
Yeah.
living in it, and we can't, we don't even know how it ends, and we're doing it.
We gonna bring us home, Neil? Oh, all right. I'm bringing you up. Chet Garner, you are the world's greatest dad.
Oh, yeah, I made it. Yes. Dude, this was awesome, guys.
Thank you for
y'all.
being here. Thank you for being
Thank
so
y'all.
generous. with
It
your,
was great.
your time,
I
man.
love seeing dads that are taking it as seriously and as intentionally as I am. And hopefully we be an encouragement to other words. There's no days off, baby. No days off. Don't take them. You don't need them. Get in there. Be the world's greatest dad.
Friday
amazing.
Night Lights, I gotta say, that's pretty wild. It's pretty wild.
It's intense, man.
Yeah.
It is intense. It is a pressure cooker for parenting too, because like, how many reps is your son gonna get? Why is he getting pulled? Oh, he's sitting the bench. How is he with that? We're gonna need to unpack that later. Oh, he's playing. Oh, he did great, but then he also screwed up. Like, we got like, how are we gonna? It's
No
complex.
coaching.
dude.
No
Yeah,
coaching.
no coaching. I love you. Love watching you play. So it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I'm vicariously